Hello, everybody. So this is part 2 of my faith testimony. I apologize. After I made that video, I went to the grocery store and I made dinner, and I was pretty tired after that. So I left off talking about the peace that Jesus had, or when he was in the boat during the storm and the disciples was trying to wake him up. I had asked God for that same grace of peace to handle what I was going through, just mentally, physically, and, because when you're going through a storm, there's a difference between walking by faith or you're walking in fear. And faith and fear cannot coexist. If you're operating through fear, then your faith is contaminated. And it says in 2 Timothy 1:7, which is my favorite verse because that verse brought me deliverance, that that God has not given you a spirit of fear, but he has given you love, power, and a sound mind. And that is something that I've already dealt with, which I will speak, maybe, Lord willing, in another video. But anyways, so I knew I wanted to put my faith was being tested. I knew that all these things that was coming after me, like blow after blow after blow. And I also mentioned in the last video that I had gotten off the app, but that's not how everything stopped. I was still, even though I wasn't on the app, because of the people that I was surrounding myself with. And this is why in the Bible it says that bad company corrupts good morals. And that's exactly what was going on with me. I had surrounded myself around people that would talk about God. We would have conversations, but more so arguments about the Bible. They would say stuff like, I do fear God. If you fear God, you wouldn't be doing none of the stuff that I have witnessed you do. So you still sinning, you still living in sin, you still doing things that is just not of God, and it's showing fruits of the world and not fruits of the spiritual fruits. So I had to deal with that, along with what was going on in my personal life, which I'm not going to speak on that on here. But it was too much. It was too much for me to handle, and I had to remember the verse that God says to cast all your cares onto him, for he cares for you. And I had to do that many of times. I still do that, and you should always do that. Sometimes we forget that this is what God said to do. Cast your cares, because he knows no human being, you've seen it, people trying to handle their own problems, it has driven them crazy. It has driven them to being sick, having diseases. There have been so many people I've listened to where they talk about they have so much anxiety. Anxiety is rooted in fear. Because what does fear bring? The Bible says fear brings torment. And that is torture. When you're tortured with thoughts of the what if, of whatever you're worrying about, that is strictly torment. And this is why faith and fear cannot coexist. You can't say, oh, well, I needed fear to help me. It depends on the situation. But if you're worrying about it, then you can't have faith, and you can't operate in faith. That's not how faith operates. God said that he has given everybody a measure of faith. So everybody has the same measure of faith. It's where, how much of your faith have you built upon? If your faith we're all at this level, but some people have, that much, because they build it up. So you have to build your faith, and you have to recognize where your faith level is at. But anywho, and you also need to be, like I've said in my other videos, you need to pray about who you surround yourself with. and ask God to reveal these people, because these people probably wasn't sent by God if they're causing havoc in your life. And we have to also remember that it's not them. It's not flesh and blood that we wrestle with. I mean, we have an adversary that is always looking for that foothold in your life. And that's exactly what I opened up, which caused chaos in my life and my family. Because you have to recognize these signs. When things are not going right, then you need to stop. Ask God to reveal what you're not seeing. What are you being blinded? What is hindering you that you can't see past what's going on in the back scene, in the back row? So, it was a lot. And when I think about what all I've been through, prepared me to have faith during the storm, to have faith for the car that I'm sitting in. Because like I said, once I got off that app, with POF, like I said, I was still dealing with other things that was personally happening, which took a toll on me. Then I ended up talking back to the same person that broke up with me, that we broke up. And that was another thing. So it was like I was trying, like at the time, I was trying to work out and get healthy and go to the gym. And this ex of mine who came back into my life, which I should have never even opened that door. Once again, I was still being naive, and I wasn't listening. I thought me and him could be friends, but it turns out we couldn't, and we're no longer friends, because that quickly ended once I started realizing, like, okay, the enemy is sending me. So what I started doing is I started not necessarily blocking people, but blocking them in a way they couldn't reach me by messenger. Like, they couldn't I just blocked anybody who the enemy would potentially whisper in their ear to contact me. And I did that. And sometimes you have to cut off people. And even if you haven't heard from somebody, if you know this is how the enemy has operated, like I said, you have to notice the patterns. Like in X, somebody from your past contacting you just out the blue. Something is wrong with that. Especially if you cut them off a long time ago. It's the reason why y'all haven't even spoken, because you cut them off. You have to see these. You have to realize you have to be more sharp. You have to be sharp. And you can pray and ask God for that, to start sharpening in wisdom and understanding. And just, something's not right. Not something you feel, because you can't feel this. You have to go by faith. And faith operates outside of the human senses. I've seen a lot of people where they do, oh, I feel like this, and I felt something like this. That's human superstition. But anyways, so, like I said, I started putting my faith to the test, and I said, you know what, Lord? I'm asking you for a new car. So I started saving, because like I said, me being on that app led me to put majority of my money, even helping someone out, loaning somebody money. And even though they did me wrong, at least I have the good intentions on helping you out. So that's on you. And that's how you have to look at things when you loan somebody money. You have to look at the fact, well, you was in good reasoning. You had good reasons in loaning somebody, because you don't know if they lied to you or not. So that person lied to me. Basically, I got my money stolen, and I got money stolen from me on the app that I was on. It was a lot, like I said. So there might be a part 3. Just to sum it up, I'm sorry, I've just been talking. Thank you so much for listening to me, though. I really appreciate it.